In the early days of the web, judging page speed was largely a matter of opinion. You hit refresh, started a stopwatch, and if the page loaded before you lost patience, it was considered fast enough. But that era of guesswork ended. Google recognized that a simple top-line load time doesn't actually reflect what a user experiences when they try to read or interact with a page. To measure that actual experience, Google introduced Core Web Vitals. This is an uncompromising, objective framework built to measure exactly how a page feels to the person clicking on it. While high-quality content remains the primary driver for ranking, Google now uses these metrics as a decisive tiebreaker. When two pages offer equally relevant information, the site with failing vitals will consistently lose its position to the one that loads more efficiently. That strict standard runs headfirst into a massive, immovable object, WordPress. It's an older architecture, but it currently powers over 40% of the entire internet. The friction comes from how it operates. Every time a user clicks a link, WordPress dynamically builds that page from scratch. It has to reach into the database, pull out the text, find the images, and stitch it all together on the fly, a process that introduces built-in latency. Because of that dynamic generation process, the vast majority of WordPress sites are failing Google's strict new metrics by default out of the box. This failure happens entirely in the background. Site owners are often unaware their pages are being penalized until they actively run advanced diagnostic tools to check their performance. Millions of websites are currently caught in this trap, wedged between Google's strict modern standards and the web's aging foundation. Surviving this penalty requires breaking down exactly what Google evaluates during a page load into three specific pillars. Looking at this loading sequence, the first metric is LCP, or Largest Contentful Paint. This strictly measures how fast the single biggest visual element, usually a hero image or graphic, appears on the screen. Next is CLS, or Cumulative Layout Shift. This tracks visual stability. If you're trying to read a paragraph and the text is suddenly shoved down by a late-loading ad banner, that layout shift triggers a penalty. Finally, there's INP, Interaction to Next Paint. This tracks responsiveness. When a user clicks a button, INP measures whether the site instantly reacts or if it freezes up while the server tries to catch up. Historically, satisfying all three of these metrics required hiring expensive engineering teams to constantly compress images and manually rewrite bloated code. But relying on manual developer tweaks is a losing battle against a constantly updating search algorithm. The only way to scale this process is to remove the human bottleneck entirely. This Nimbika Hero section highlights the modern resolution to this problem: specialized AI optimization platforms that upgrade legacy sites without requiring a developer. As shown in the API key field here, these platforms bypass WordPress's dynamic weaknesses by securely linking directly to the site's backend. The green status indicator in this dashboard shows that the entire enterprise-grade engine runs through a standard connection inside the existing WordPress interface. Once connected, the automated workflow takes over. The engine instantly generates highly compressed WebP and AWeB versions of all images on the site, while keeping the original files completely untouched. Then, the AI component steps in. The system autonomously reads Google's PageSpeed reports and tunes its own optimization engine to force a passing score. It does all of this behind the scenes, without altering a single pixel of the site's design. By separating the design of the site from the delivery mechanics, site owners get to keep their familiar backend while serving a hyper-fast, perfectly optimized front-end to their users. The effectiveness of this automated architecture doesn't have to be taken on faith. It is easily verified by third-party performance diagnostics. This GT Metrics report shows the tangible impact. The platform achieves the 99% performance grade and drives the largest contentful paint time down to a lightning-fast 674 milliseconds. The Google Lighthouse score in this image reveals a perfect 100 out of 100 on desktop, specifically showing 0 visual layout shifts. Finally, this mobile interface report confirms that this success extends beyond ideal desktop conditions, showing a 97 performance grade on a mobile device. This diagnostic evidence proves that technical perfection is no longer restricted to custom-coded, enterprise-level websites with massive development budgets. Core Web Vitals represent a permanent shift in how Google calculates search visibility. moving from subjective evaluations of quality to objective, measurable performance standards. Modern search competition leaves no room for guessing. Site owners can no longer rely on perceived speed or manual one-off code patches to maintain their rankings in an increasingly technical landscape. But the core relief here is that site owners do not have to abandon WordPress or rebuild their entire web presence from scratch to survive this shift. Overcoming Google's ultimatum simply requires leveraging modern automation to serve your existing website smarter, faster, and perfectly optimized.